I am Aksheya Kumar. Rajiv, I am chairman of India Club that Shubha, my wife, and I established a while ago.
And it's a beautiful club.
Yes, it has become really very prestigious, attended by many, lauded by many, supported by many.
Fantastic. And you're getting more and more members now into this club.
Yes, that is true. Number of membership is also increasing fairly fast, which is a very good thing. Yeah.
And I'm Rajiv Chaudhri. I've been a member of this community for the last couple of decades. I've lived in the hills. I've been a single dad. I brought up my lovely daughter, who's now a doctor. I have an IT consulting business, and I do a lot of charity work. I also own a couple of restaurants, and I love serving the community. That's how Akshay and I met each other.
Yes.
And it's been, I think, a wonderful relationship that we've built, which I'm very fortunate to have been able to have.
Yeah. Now, I have known you for quite a long time, and I have seen what drives you. You are very much looking after the people who are around you. I also noticed how well you look after your staff, and they also appear to be very devoted to you. They respect you very much, and your community orientation, which I saw when you raised more than $100,000 for Lisa Harman Foundation just in one night. So,
Akshayji, it's very, thank you very much for that kind brief. I've always believed in working collaboratively. I've always believed in working with teams. And whether it's working in the community with teams to raise money for the Community Foundation, for the Lisa Harnham Foundation, and I'd love to say, but in the next year, we'd like to do a little fundraiser for the India Club also, so that it can support other organizations as it continues to do. But it's all about having the team, and I've always believed that it's teamwork that makes the dream work. So if you've got a good team, you can dream.
Yes.
And I've used that same formula in my business, in my personal relationships, and in my professional relationships, and in community organizations. So I think I enjoy it. I enjoy serving the community through these little initiatives, whether it's the Community Foundation, whether it's the India Club. And I was so happy to see the success of the last few events over the last almost since the beginning of this year. I've been coming to most of your events, and it's addictive. It's wonderful to come to these events. What I also admire, and this is not just, I'm not saying this because I have to say it, I haven't been paid to say this, but the pains that you go through to put together an event like that makes people like myself want to come to those events. The gravity or the attraction that you're able to create of positive people to want to come to your events, that in itself is a measure of the success of what you do. So yes, whilst you've said some kind things, I must say you and Shubhaji do a wonderful job. The way you organize your events, the way you continue to serve the community, and whilst you could be easily enjoying your retirement, which you are, but it must be stressful organizing these events, isn't it?
yes, it does become stressful, but when we take on any new venture, we take it on very willingly. If we see value in that, if we see the community will be very much rewarded by what we do. So we just want to do it. There are so many things we want to do. Yes, as you say, we need a very dedicated team. For certain entertainment events, we got the team developed very well. We got people who have been with us, like not only the committee members, but even those who provide services like videography, DJ, catering, right from the beginning, right from 2009, 2010 onwards until now, same people, and they do a wonderful job. That makes life easy. When we initiate anything, we know that okay, these boxes we don't have to worry about.
Right.
They will just come and deliver regardless of whatever it is. So that way it has become very much possible to advance the mission and the cause of India Club, which has been to enhance the stature of members, help members, and encourage them to come with their own initiatives and take control, of course, within a larger envelope. Within that they are free. In that balloon they are free. They can do anything in that.
And what prompted you to nominate me or ask me to step up?
Rajiv, when I saw the dedication you have, when I saw the integrity, when I saw how right from the morning to evening you were totally occupied in the science and technology exhibition that we did, doing all the manual work also, making sure not only your things but if others needed help, I could see somebody who is there who will be most ideal to represent the community and the residents of the hills area. I saw your capability, I saw your organizing skills, I saw the honesty that you have behind it. This all guided me, and I said, here's the man. He's got all kind of skills, talent, and dedication to deliver whatever is the best for the community. You are very much community minded, and that's it. What else is required?
Oh, thank you for that, Aksheya. But one of the things that I'd like to say is you picked up the right time, because all through over the last couple of decades, I have been supporting several, not just community initiatives, but now we're talking politics. I've been supporting lots of political endeavors of whether it's been the last 4 or 5 mayors in the hills, or whether it's been members of parliament, whether it's been Dominic Perrottet or Damien Tudor, or the likes of several other politicians around who have stood up and asked for help. I've always put my hand up and supported them. But I didn't want to get into mainstream politics at that stage, because being a single dad, I had responsibilities. I also lost my father to prostate cancer in 2012, and he was battling prostate cancer, so there was a distraction there. My daughter was young, only child. I wanted her to succeed. There's no point being successful yourself if your children go astray. It's something in our culture that we imbibe, and thanks to our, our place of birth or where we originate from, it's in our Indian system, as they say, that you want your children to settle down and do well. So my focus was my child. Even my profession took a little bit of a back burner, and I wanted, that's why I didn't really focus on it. That's getting into mainstream politics. And when you suggested that to me, it came to me as a pleasant surprise, and I said, yes, I'm ready, because lo and behold, my daughter had finished her medicine, and she starts at the Royal North Shore Hospital. So I said, wow, this is all about timing. It's perfect timing. And all those years of community work that you did, I thought would give me the strength. I wanted to now be the difference that I'd like to see in Parliament. So sometimes you're dependent on other members or on someone taking up an issue for you or your community, but now you wanted to be that change you want to see. And I thought I had about 10 good years that I'd like to give back to the community, serving through probably a political portfolio. So thank you for that initiative, and thank you for motivating me, for having a chat with me. It was very humbling. I know you've never done this in the past. I think I don't know, have you ever suggested to anyone before?
No, we are not. And say we kept India Club out of politics.
And so
But
it should be.
And then comes a time that we personally had to delve into it. We really had to get into it. It is again for betterment of society. This is something which has always driven me. And wherever I find that people are coming forward and they want to give something to society, like what I say normally is, hand should always be like this, never like this. So this is what I want to not only propagate, but also instill these kind of things in the people who are around us.
Yes, it's always, I think you've got to give back to the community. For me, this beautiful community that I lived in for the last couple of decades, my daughter and myself, and also my ex-wife, we were able to live safely, nicely, and nurtured. All of us were nurtured in this community. And I just thought the time had come for us to want to give back, not just through charity, not just through community initiatives, but through stepping up and trying to see those policy changes that you would advocate through your local members. And I think it's also about, I've always believed that you need to have a combination of experience, and I thought I had enough life experiences, having worked with teams, small and large, having worked across 3 continents. I've worked in England, worked in India, and worked here in Australia for the last couple of decades, and managed large teams. So the ability to solve issues, the ability to work with people, the ability to work for the people, by the people. I think that's what a democracy is all about. And I wanted to for me, the moment you said to me that would you like to, or should we nominate you? It was very humbling because I thought, yes, I should. And I had been asked by several other people before, and I don't want to mention those names, but some of them turned around, and some of them are very senior politicians who said to me that if you had joined 5 years ago, you'd be a minister today. It's easier said than done, but there's always a timing for everything.
I mean, you have got the acumen, the capability, and the drive to be a very, very good administrator and hence a very good minister, because you understand lot of undercurrents which go on in this society and in politics. So you can deal with these things very, very well. The thing is this, that say nearly 50 years ago, we moved to Australia, and we chose this country to live in and be our country, and Australia has become our country. This is the place we love most. We have been in Sydney all the time, and yes, we love Sydney. If we go overseas, we always look forward to coming back and be in Sydney. Now, what I feel is that people who have gained from the society, from the country, then there comes a time in life that they have to give back, and they should give back. And I am finding that there are quite a few people who have got same kind of streak in them, and they are doing it. With you also saw same thing, that you are accomplished, you are very well accomplished, and that's when time comes to give back to society. Give back in the form of services, give back in the form of helping many other organizations that you do all the time. Also, I saw very good family values in you. The way you speak and talk about your mom, about your daughter, and even about your ex, I can see a lot of value in how you discuss and talk about them and these aspects.
Yeah, I think everyone. Thanks for that. Everyone needs respect, whether wherever you fit into the system, I believe that it's important to leave or close all relationships, not close all relationships, but close all conversations on a positive note, and deal with people with respect, give them the love and respect that they need, even though they may or may not be a part of your life. There's no need to harbor hatred. There's no need to have negativity.
Yeah.
And I think that's been my mindset. I've always walked away from negativity. I am very big on anti-bullying. I hate bullying. I hate, domestic violence. I hate things that are evils in our communities and, in civilization per se. Even if you go to the extent of overdevelopment, or you go to the extent of cost of living, all of these things are ultimately stressing us all up. So I think one of the things I wanted to also go back into Parliament was to work on a few of these issues, use my life experiences. For me, when I look at an event, or whether it's a community event or whether it's just an evening being spent out, I always look at a cost-benefit analysis. And being an entrepreneur, you put in your head very quickly a few numbers that I'm going to spend so much money. What are the outcomes going to be? Where are we going to reach? And that's the philosophy, or that's what you pick up when you have done business. And I believe going into Parliament with that life experience, or with that business, more so small business experience, where you have small budgets and you know that you've got to manage within those budgets. Whereas if you've worked only with large organizations, what you end up doing is you're spending someone else's money.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. And that's why I believe that I would like to utilize funds to the best of my ability, where I feel there would be a maximum return on investment for a project or a program. So I think that's what I'd like to take to Parliament. I don't know, and I wouldn't like to comment on how many people in Parliament have the kind of experience or life experiences across 3 continents, with over 100 odd startups, working with teams up to 1,000 people, different multicultural themes. Where in my team I've had people from of Muslim origin, people from the Buddhist group, people obviously Hindus, Christians, Jains, so Baha'is. So it's been wonderful to be able to work with those teams and try to create harmony among them. And I wanted to bring this harmony into my constituency, wherever I represent.
Yeah. The hills area, it is very multicultural. Here, if I know the figures correctly, I think 40% of the population is probably of Asian.
From the Indian subcontinent.
From the Indian subcontinent, right? Yeah, Asian. When I say Asian, I mean I include India, but in the typical sense in Australia, Asian means only eastern part of Asia, southeastern part. Now, again, say looking at you, I find that you can think out of the box. You have a vision, which is not easy. Even if things are difficult, just like me, like if there is a problem or something, I always want to keep moving forward. I don't want to detract from that. So you also just apply yourself fully, and even if it is difficult, you will take it and you will implement. Now, currently, energy is a big issue all over the globe. It is causing a lot of friction, fractures also. Whatever it is not going, the problem is not going to go away easily. as the Ukraine war will continue for quite some time. Putin has indicated, yes, it's going to happen that way. So it was something again like nuclear energy, in my opinion, is the solution. It was very timely that you organized that a symposium on aspects of nuclear energy and atomic plants to produce energy in Australia. It was attended by many, and the kind of questions people asked, the interest they took, that shows that vision-wise, that's where you are, that's where you want to lead.
True. Sorry, you were saying something else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, you go.
So true, Aksheya, I basically thought of having that talk on should we go nuclear.
Yeah.
I wanted to start the conversation because a lot of people don't understand that you can't go nuclear overnight. The time frame from planning to execution to generation of nuclear power is about 10 years. Yeah. We've got to think out of the box. We've not got to think of just our, one political term.
Yes.
You've got to think of where do you want this nation to be.
Yeah.
You want to be ahead of your time.
Yes.
Just like we've had the metro that's come in, and look at the difference that it's made to so many people's lives.
Yeah.
This should have come in 30 years ago, considering we are a developed country.
Yeah.
Countries like India have a better rail system than we have.
That's right.
And they move, 1.4 billion people much more efficiently than we do. Yeah. So I think we're still struggling to have basic infrastructure in Australia, and more importantly for me in New South Wales, and most importantly for me in the hills, where today if I'm in Rouse Hill and I want to go to Parramatta and I want to use train as an option, I can't use it.
Yeah.
I've got to interchange so many places. It should be convenient. The London Underground is there, which goes all over London metropolis. New York has it. Every other Delhi has it.
Yeah.
Mumbai has it. Sydney should have had it, where all these metropolitans, which is Parramatta, Chatswood, all the way down to Wollongong, it should all be connected, interconnected, and you should be able to travel.
Yeah.
So I feel we needed to start talking nuclear, coming back to the topic. And most importantly, Tony Irwin was such a good speaker because he spoke in normal speak. He didn't complicate things. And he had that little, almost like the size of a little lipstick, and said, that's the amount of, nuclear material required for a massive amount of energy to be given. And the setup costs. A lot of people feel solar is cheap to set up. It's cheap because it's being subsidized by the government. It's not cheap because it's cheap technology. It's expensive because to store that energy, you capture it from the sun, then you got to store it somewhere, and then you've got to harness it, distribute it. So all of these costs add up, and people don't realize that. So I thought it was great to think out of the box and start thinking of things that we can do. So while current governments are focused on, I can see a lot of the light rail and tunnels and, having better roads, that's all fantastic. But we've got to think of water and power, which I feel are the two major issues. As our population grows, the challenges with all the development happening, with all the influx of people through wonderful migration schemes, you've got to have the basic necessities for them in the next decade. Otherwise, we're going to be facing not just the current inflation that we are facing due to COVID, it's going to be absolutely, cascading, and it's going to have an effect on our cost of living. It's going to cause stress. Stress will cause things like domestic violence, suicide, illnesses, mental illnesses, and there comes a whole range of issues. So it's all interrelated, and that's why I thought of having that event. And how wonderful was it? 75 people, 80 odd people turned up. they asked very intelligent. They asked very intelligent questions, and I think we got a good outcome. I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah. No, that is really something very worthwhile, and there should be more awareness about the nuclear energy and its generation. Most of the power plants have been on fission technology, but fusion generates much more energy, and fusion technology, it is something which is producing much less waste, nuclear waste, which has to be stored. So that is the positive thing about that one. When we came to Australia, here the infrastructure and looking around and all that, that was great. Coming from India, looking at Australia, things looked very, very advanced. Now when we go to India, the picture has reversed. In India, they have built such long highways connecting major cities, and absolutely modern highways with lot of thinking put into it, application of AI and all that. India has not only moved, but is moving ahead in leaps and bounds. You look at the airports and all that. I mean, here we cannot even decide on where to put the airport for last about 28 years. That football goes on, and it will be another 5, 6, 7 years before it can be built. Similarly, about the water you mentioned, yes, water, this is a dry continent. Water is a very big problem, but it is beyond understanding why so much water in many parts of Australia. We have big floods, there is so much damage. Why there isn't a water containment or water being stored in big dams, which will minimize the damage by the floods, and also there will be plenty of water available. If a country like Israel can deal with water in the desert, why we cannot do it?
See, managing our waterways is a very, very important thing. I think if you look back, a lot of countries, and you rightly said, even if you go back to India, when they got freedom, the first thing in the 50s, you started seeing these dams being built.
Yes.
The Bhakra Nangal Dam that was built, and Bokaro Dam, and lots of other dams came up. There's been constant upgradation. Then the channels started opening, and the water was channelized into places which were basically deserts that were converted into agricultural fields.
Yeah.
So Ganganagar is one such example. There are lots of examples all over India. But when I'm making a comparison to India primarily because we just started talking about India, and we are of Indian origin. But I think I agree with you that water management in terms of planning, increasing the height of a dam, or managing how the excess water is channelized, I think that's what we've, as a country, not focused on. We've taken a lot of things for granted. We, as Australians, are very resilient. So when there is a flood or a drought or an earthquake or anything, a bushfire, we manage these catastrophes very well. We come together, we raise money, we help each other. That's fantastic. But I think in terms of policy and procedure, we do have a few areas that need to be looked into in a smarter way, I think, in a more efficient way. And when you compare with other countries, we leave a lot to be desired on that front because we take a lot of things for granted. I do believe that we need to start thinking out of the box.
Yes.
And it's those are the kind of ideas that I would like to take in with me. We need to constantly brainstorm and look at how we manage such situations to achieve proper outcomes for civilization or for communities or for the country of.
That's right. And once again, I just want to say something more about multiculturalism, diversity, and harmony. And what we are finding is that the events that India Club does, we find people coming forward and telling their stories, even domestic violence stories, very, very freely. They talk very freely in our events. We do have guests, they also come, they also do their presentations, and then people ask very intelligent questions. If the population is so intelligent and people want to move forward, then I think political parties have to pick up their game. They cannot be living in their shells, in their age-old thinking, ultra-conservative mold. They really have to understand how to harness the new energetic pool of young people. Young people have got a lot of very good ideas. They are the ones who want to move forward. They are the ones who want to ensure the future. The way policy should be formulated is to make sure that generations to come have a better life than what we have. And we should not be, like to mention the term, robbing from the future generations. It has to be managed, the economy has to be managed properly and intelligently. And every year, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars are wasted on just redressing the problem that floods bring in and not taking it up properly. I think that is something, in my opinion, it's a criminal thing that those who are in power, they do not focus on these aspects which are causing huge damage to the economy and to public life.
Again, when I interesting points you've made there, and whilst I don't want to comment because I represent a political party and I don't want to be caught tongue in cheek, but definitely I think there needs to be more inclusiveness. When you agree to the policy of immigration, you need to be inclusive and you need to ensure that there is adequate opportunity for participation in a process in a democratic way, based just like you have reservations for other things, for certain quotas. There should be, I believe, everyone's talking about reservation for women. I think it should be also broken down into, I wouldn't say reservation really, but there should be equal opportunity given to all nationalities based on probably on the percentage of the population.
Yes.
You've got to be prepared, because as the numbers of those population or those sectors or those sections of the population increase, you do want representation so people can take up their issues, people can speak and be a voice for that community, not just for one section or one community. I think that's important. Just like you get opportunities in jobs, and there should be opportunities in every area in politics. I'm a firm believer of that, and the parties need to start coming out of those stereotype molds and looking at realistically providing these opportunities and getting in fresh talent so that we can get more people, more positive people who can make a difference to not just their communities, but to the communities they live in, the multicultural community, and add to that.
Now probably I'm just wondering whether I should really mention the politics or not. But what I'm finding is that our Liberal Party is not moving with the times. It is not keeping pace with time. That's my feeling. the party still wants to adhere to older concepts which are way down, much more conservative. In every aspect, things are changing. Education is changing very much. IT has changed the world. COVID was a very big awakening call to many countries that were very ill prepared. Even though Bill Gates had given a warning that in the next few years, I mean not from now, but I would think about 5-6 years ago, he gave a warning, a pandemic will become
a biological war.
Yes, will become absolutely devastating, and it did happen. But despite being very civilized and very sort of rich societies, they are ill prepared. And it was a surprise to me to see how well India dealt with that.
Yeah, a lot of countries. Yep, I agree with you.
Yeah, and India not only went ahead with its own vaccine, but also provided vaccine to so many other countries. Whereas there was big hoarding of vaccine in countries like in America and in Europe, and the vaccine vials up to 200 million just got had to be thrown away because they were out of date, but they will not give it to others. So this is something, I think the humanity aspect also has to be understood by our party. We have to have policies and systems which sort of not only promote but at least sustain these ideas.
Yeah, I agree with you, Akshaji. There's lots. I think it's a process of learning. Australia is also very young, comparatively a younger country when it comes to having processes and systems. They've adopted the Westminster system from the United Kingdom. They've also tried to improve and have a better Medicare system. I think it's a process of evolution of a country, but the political party, as I said, is hard for me to speak for obvious reasons. But I feel people need to start thinking. People need to start thinking out of the box. We need more thinkers. We need more people who can work smart, not just hard, who can work towards achieving outcomes for their respective communities that they represent. And that's what one wants to be able to do.
Yep. I think other aspects, when I look at our, like I want to say, it is not that Australia has not done well. Australia has done very well in many respects. When you look at the pace of life and the crime in America, and then slow pace of life in many Asian countries, I think the pace of life in Australia is just right. It has gone on to become a socialistic society, which is also very good. At the same time, the spirit of that those who work hard will get rewards is very much preserved in this society. So that way it is very well balanced. But again, to say, okay, this is it, that is not right. It can be better, it can be a lot better, and that's what we should strive for.
And I think that's, I think to sum up, that's what I'm going to strive for with your blessings. With the fact, I would like to say thank you for nominating me, both to you and Shubhaji. It's been an absolutely humbling experience, and I hope I can do justice to the trust that you have bestowed upon me.
Shubha and I have nominated you with very high hopes that you will serve the community without fear. And we will do our best to make sure that you do, and hold on, and you hold on to these concepts.
All right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me, for calling me in to speak to you. Thank you.